So the two new AA systems that we got this patch, the Rapier and the American one that we're gonna talk about later. The Rapier will be the first focus, which is a very iconic Cold War AA system for the British, is finally here. So let's take a closer look onto this new AA system. Of course, normally tanks are not really my main focus of the channel, but of course I'm always trying to do a little bit, okay? The weird part is this, that this vehicle, this tracked truck basically, it is actually pretty mobile. I was actually thinking that this thing wouldn't be too mobile. It doesn't have a lot of acceleration, but it's okay actually. It's okay for an AA system. It doesn't need to be better, right? For the gun itself, for the missiles, we do have a thermal system, which is not the greatest. It's a first gen, if I'm not mistaken. And we do have a radar or an IRST, but I think it's a radar because, I mean, the color scheme of that looks like an IRST, but I think it's a radar, right? It's a normal radar, yeah. That's the dome, but I don't know. The color scheme of that thing just looks like an IRST, which is kind of weird. And the way that it works, of course, it is just like any other AA system. You have a pretty substantial amount of zoom over here, and we have two missiles, the Mark 1 and the Mark 2. The Mark 2 missile is actually, of course, a little bit better, has a little bit more range. So the Mark 1 will have 7 kilometers and the Mark 2 has 8 kilometers of range. So of course it's kind of an old system. It's not the newer thing ever that would make this thing you know, be a top tier vehicle, of course. So you will see that obviously these missiles, they might not be the greatest thing ever, but and they might be a little bit hard to use from time to time. But in a general sense, it is something that I think the British needed, especially because it is an iconic AA system of the British, right? It is probably the most iconic AA system that the British ever used, right? So it's the most well-known, I think, right? Of course, we do have our ammunition boxes over there, which is pretty cool. We do have smokes, which are pretty good, actually. A pretty substantial amount of smoke throughout the whole vehicle. And of course the armor will not be the greatest thing ever. Okay, so yeah, we're taking a little bit of ammo there. Let's move out of the smoke so that I can actually see something. Come on. Jesus Christ. Let me restart this thing. But yeah, it's gonna be an AA system that lacks a little bit of the maneuverability with the missile, but like I said, it's kind of an older system, so it's okay. The VR is lower as well. It has a 22.5 Gs, if I'm not mistaken, of a turn. So it can do well, but where's the missile? What was that? I think I know what happened, but hold up. And I don't know, sometimes the missile just doesn't do a lot of damage, and you have to put another missile in the air. Let me check something. No, yeah, oh, okay, so yeah, because of the actual like front part of the vehicle, you cannot fire too downwards over here. You can, but the missile just goes up, see, and it goes for a different place that it's not guided properly. So you gotta be careful. Just put your back towards where the enemies are and you should be fine. You have 8 missiles, okay. Obviously, you need the box to recover more missiles, to have more missiles. But yeah, it's a pretty good system actually. For the BR that it is, man, you cannot expect anything else than this, right? The missile turns very well. It can explode targets with one shot, but sometimes it does not. You can lock targets up. I think, yeah, it's a post operator, so... See, like, it can... I think I missed, yeah. Come on, proxy fuse, yeah, there we go. So, it can be amazing, but not the greatest thing ever as well. So, let's take a look on the hangar as well, just for you to take a look on the actual armor. Forget about this Canadian thing over here. Yeah. 20 millimeters, not a lot of armor, obviously. all the crew is basically on the front part of the vehicle, so the missiles are basically safe out there. You have a lot of mechanism over here, obviously, but you know. And like I said, you have the Mark II and the Mark 1E. And as you see, they're not that different. The speed is a little bit different, with 50 meters per second of difference. And also the range. So the 2 is 8 kilometers, the 1E is 7 kilometers. So not a lot of difference. Thermals, smoke, this is the Rapier. Finally added to 10.0, which is a pretty good BR for such a system. I mean, if you take a look on the tech tree itself, we have the Stormer, of course, and the HVM. But I gotta be honest, do you really like these vehicles? I mean, they can be good, don't get me wrong, but I have a feeling that for the longer ranges, of course, for the shorter ranges, the Stormer AD is gonna be better, but for the longer ranges, the Rapier is much better, right? We have the Oza as well. Might be a better like system just because of the missile. But at the end of the day, I mean, you have more range and a little bit more turn, but in a very slower, like much slower missile, right? So, I mean, you get the Rapier first. So, yeah, that's kind of it, right? So, let's go for the second one, the XM246. And this is basically an American Gepard, right? Which is the funniest thing ever. I never knew about this. I don't know if this is the correct radar. It's saying it's an APG-66, so we're gonna have to wait and see. And the M247 radar there, so I don't know if it is, like, seriously, it's a F-16 radar? I don't know about that. Let me know in the comments if it is, but yeah, the Arlington cannon, of course, 35 millimeters. In the chassis from an M48, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, you can use the normal rounds. You have the APDS that penetrates a lot, as you see. So it can be a good option for hunting lightly armored vehicles, or even not that lightly armored. I mean, 100 plus, it's pretty good, right? We have the DM13 with HE and API, and then we have basically a different version of that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's test drive it and call it the day. I gotta do this default. I'm gonna use the default just for the sake of it. And yeah, as you see, the mobility itself, it's gonna be pretty much the same as an M48. It is pretty much the same, you know, hull. Another tank with this hull. So it's good, but it is very large. And of course, the armor isn't great. But an AA system never needs too much of an AA, like a good armor, right? And of course, it doesn't have missiles. But it does have the radar for us to actually have a good impact. Yeah, very easy with the radar. I always like to give basically the first person shot, basically, to shoot at the enemy, because normally with the third person it is a little bit harder because you cannot be really precise, you know. He's changing direction, but yeah, you get the idea, right? So very good gun. Doesn't have a lot of ammo. Okay, it doesn't have a lot of ammo, but the little box is always there for you to get a help. So I gotta be honest, this is one of the best AA systems the Americans have in these tiers, because these guns are pretty amazing, and this radar is pretty amazing. So you gotta be careful with the ammunition count, because I mean, the rate of fire is not the, it's pretty great, but it doesn't eat up your ammo, so you have a lot of time, but it's not a lot of ammunition. You have your smoke as well. You have a pretty okay radar. 40 kilometers. Oh my god. You don't need that much, but yeah. The only problem is that obviously you will not have a lot of range with this thing. I think the max range will be what? 2 to 3 kilometers, 4 kilometers maybe, but normally this is not gonna be something that will be firing from too much range. The sound is pretty normal. It's a very good AA system, actually a pretty amazing AA system. I forgot what PR this thing is. It's like 8 point something, right? Let me just go back. 8.3, yes. So at this PR, man, like, don't get me wrong, there are other AA systems that are pretty good. The 247 is amazing because of the proximity fuse, and the 163 is pretty good, but I mean, it's a much lower BR, right? And this is a much higher BR as well. So It's the perfect AA system for this. It really is. It's something that was needed between the two because it was a very big jump between 7.3 and 9.0. I remember when I was grinding this, I mean, all of these 8.3s, look at how many 8.3s, 8.7s, 9.0s you have. I mean, 9.0s, okay, you have the 247, but look at how many 7.7s, 8.3s, and 8.7s, and you don't have an AA system. You have to keep using your 163 unless you want to get a higher BR rates. So it's just not the greatest thing, right? I forgot to actually check what is the range of this radar. So 10 kilometers, so it's much less, but of course, you know, it has missiles, and they're pretty good missiles. But basically, this is it, guys. These are the two new AA systems that are added to the dev server. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, and bye, guys. See you in the next one.